This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Eberly Stock. Eberly Stock is one of my favorite backpacks. Now, I've been wearing their backpack for almost 20 years. They have lightweight backpacks. They have modular backpacks, everything from their main frame, which is just a frame pack that you can put bags on. They have these cool outside called bat wings that you can use. So check them out at eberlystock.com and make sure you tell them Ike sent you. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Silencer Central. Silencer Central, thank you for supporting us. If you would like to support Silencer Central, if you have any interest in a silencer, which I encourage because it is a game changer in the field, check out silencercentral.com. They will walk you through the paperwork online, as well as they can ship that silencer directly to your doorstep. So check them out and tell them Ike sent you. So, Rod Paschke, you've been part of our organization, and I wouldn't say on the outside, I'd say pretty intimate in our organization as far as 20 some years taking hunt winners.
I think 2004, I think, was the first one.
So 20 years.
I think so. I think this is 20th year.
20 years of taking hunt winners. Sizzlin S Outfitters. So obviously you do a bang up job. You do an unbelievable job taking anybody I throw at you, because we randomly draw out of our subscriber base. Right. We draw 2 hunt winners, and I never know who they are, never know their hunt ability, never know their physical ability, never know much about them. We randomly draw them and then dump them in your camp, and you've been successful every year since.
It's been entertaining every year too. Every year. Made some really good friends doing it, for
That's
sure.
true. Lost some good friends, actually.
Yeah.
We've been doing it so long that a couple of our guys have passed on.
Yep.
We had one just pass away this year, actually.
Yep, too young. 50, my age, a year younger, I think. He's 52.
Wow.
Yep. Great guy.
It happens.
Yep. Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't on our hunt, but
yeah, Chris, unfortunate. But so let's back up and let's talk about, where you grew up. I know Brandon on my team, Brandon and I travel a lot together. In fact, you call us
Harry and Lloyd.
Yeah. Where are you guys going now? But you guys cut up every time we talk. You guys cut up a little bit about your past, because it's very shared, and there's something to do with chips on a hot dish or something. I don't know.
We're both North Dakotans.
Okay, where in North Dakota did you grow up?
I was born and raised in Williston, North Dakota, up in the northwest corner of the state. Lived up there till graduated in '89, and I went to Wyoming to college.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you went to. You and I are both cowboy alums.
I started in Casper, went there 3 years on a rodeo scholarship, and then transferred to UW and was there 2 years. I was on the 5-year plan. Got my bachelor's degree.
A lot of people go to school.
Got they're called doctors. No, but I went there for 2 years. Got my bachelor's in egg business out of UW.
Really?
Rodeoed for them too. Yep.
So you and I probably barely missed each other.
I left in 94.
Okay. And I showed up in 97.
Yep.
So grew up in Williston, North Dakota, and that was before the Bakken was anything. It was in between the 2 bumps.
Yep, there was. I saw the booms and I saw the bust, and then after I left, the big boom came back. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, nice country. I wouldn't want to live there again, but now it's changed a lot.
A little crazy. Yeah. So you rodeoed college. Did you ever go professional?
Oh yeah,
I knew.
I did
lobbing
a lot.
I know a lot. Of
Yeah,
I don't want the audience to think I've never met you.
That's what we did. Yeah, of course, I high school rodeoed, college rodeoed, amateur rodeoed, and then professionally for a long time. Yep.
How long did you have your card? PRCA card?
Got my card, I think, in 90. I'm gonna date myself, but 91, I think. Yeah, 91. We got my card. Yep, and that's basically what I did for a long time. Then I took a job with a cattle supplement company in 96 and moved to Montana, eastern Montana, Miles City, where I moved originally.
So 5 years you rodeoed professionally. That was it. That's what you did.
That's basically what I did, yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
A bunch of side gigs, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, I had to. Yeah. Any rodeo cowboy has side gigs.
Is that the first time you guided?
First time I guided was in 2001. Met a kid that steer wrestled went to college with his sister at UW. Then I met him, and he got in the pro ranks, got to know him, and got to know his parents. They owned what was Sizzlin S Outfitters, and asked me to run it for him. And so I guided and for him for 4 years, ran it for him, and then I bought it.
So you've owned it for.
I think I bought it in 2005.
As I say, because you were pretty green when we started.
Real green.
When we jumped ship from Slick Rick to
Yep.
To you, it was
to me,
pretty
yep.
green.
Yep. One of your guys had me do
Stumpy,
one of
wasn't
your,
it?
yeah, it was Kevin Stump asked me to do a what'd you guys call them? We did the they give you like a pair of boots or
we did a gear review. Yeah.
And it was Sleeping Indian wool camo. I've still got it. I can't wear it out because I can't wear it because it's too goddamn hot.
even on the High Line of Montana, you couldn't wear that stuff.
And so, he got me hooked up with you guys that way. I was traveling with a guy that knew him. And so I met Stumpy, and we get to talking hunting. And then we were up in Livingston. It was over the 4th of July. And he called me. He said, "Hey, you want to do a review for us?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Like a knife or a pair of boots?" He said, "No, Sleeping Indian wool camo. You have to go get measured and all that stuff." I'm like, "All right." So did that. And Stumpy, I always hunted public.
Yeah.
And I really like Stump. And
he was a Midwestern boy that moved to Montana because of hunting and everything else.
In his mullet.
Oh, my gosh. He had an epic mullet. Epic. Oh, well, yeah. I'm sure. I haven't seen Stumpy in a long time, but I'm sure it's a skullet now.
Well, he might, yeah. So I felt bad. He did that for me, whatever. And we only had so the guy I bought it from was a terrible businessman. Terrible. And I think we only had 6 hunters that year. Stock market kind of took a dump and only had 6 guys. So I called the owner at the time, the guy's guiding for him, "Hey, I'm going to give this guy a hunt if you won't mind." And he hemmed and hawed. He's like, "Yeah, go ahead." So Stump told Guy about it. And Guy said, "Well, stop in, grab a camera on your way." And he said, "You guys probably won't shoot something, but might as well shoot some footage." And rightfully so. You guys didn't know me from bale of hay,
yeah.
Right? And so Stumpy shows up down there. And the first morning of his hunt, we blow a really good one over. And I ran the camera, actually.
Yeah.
I'd never run a camera before, obviously. And we get this deer blowed over. And so now Stumpy, it was so funny. He was so intense about, okay, we got to make sure everything's perfect. And we redid the kill scene a couple times on the walk up. And it wasn't hot, but it was, we're talking end October. But the deer's starting to blow up a little bit, whatever. Well, the landowner, he drives out there, and he's comical in itself. He's walking around there and watching us do all this. And pretty soon I'm around behind the camera, and I can see him walking kind of behind Stump. He really wanted to be on film. Well, he makes a couple swipes back there, and the wind was kind of blowing towards him.
Maybe Sasquatch back there.
And the wind's kind of blowing his way. Well, he catches wind of this deer that's starting to blow up, and he starts dry heaving back there. Bends over. He's just dry heaving like a son of a gun. Then he'd go out of the camera a little bit, dry his eyes out, and he'd come back, and he'd go to dry heaving again. It was comical. So anyway, we get that deer taken care of, and Stump goes back to Powell, drops camera off, shows you guys this deer, and her guy and Mike. I can't remember if you were still here yet or not. And you guys are like, "Wow." And so Guy calls me a couple days later. And he's like, "You want to take hunt winners for us next year?" I'm like, "Yeah, be glad to." We talk all about it. And he said, "I got one more question." I was, "What?" "Who's the guy in the background dry heaving?" I said, "That's the landowner." He's like, "You're telling me that a rancher couldn't stand the smell of a deer that's starting to blow up?" I said, "Yeah, you'll meet him. You'll get it." And been there ever since. But we still laugh about that to this day.
He is a character. So yeah, I forgot that Stumpy was the change on that whole thing. He was the one that, because I knew we'd went from Slick Rick to you. Yep. And of course I wasn't doing near what I'm doing now as far as responsibility in the company, but I knew we'd moved, but I didn't know why. And I now remember Stumpy came up there on a hunt.
Yep.
And I was for some reason I think it was Guy. I was thinking Guy went with him, but he didn't.
No, I offered that hunt to Stump just out of just because I figured I owed it to him, and which, I mean, Stump's a great guy.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
it was a fun.
it's
fun
paid
hunt.
off in dividends.
Oh
now.
man, it's been great.
So you started hunting, and you still hunt that same place,
Oh yeah,
and others.
added a bunch to it, a lot to it. When I first bought that, I had 2 ranches, and they were right across the road from each other. And of course, our deer numbers were, I mean, astronomical.
Yeah, because it was before Blue Tongue, and it was before
It was
all that
just,
stuff happened.
Yeah, great. And then I went to adding, it started to grow thanks to you guys, and just started adding places, and now I've expanded up into the breaks, and So,
But this isn't what you do every day.
No,
This is a business, and you're very intentional on this, and you're very good at it. I mean, you take guys, like I said, 25. I don't know how many. We've been doing it for 20 years, and I'll bet we've dumped 25 or 30 people in your camp.
Oh yeah,
just random people out of our subscriber base,
Yep.
and everybody's been successful. Everybody's been happy. You get a lot of these guys that were hunt winners coming back
Yep.
with their friends.
Yep.
Because it's more than just hunting is hunting, and we're all, sometimes we forget that, especially in certain age groups, the 25 to 30-year-olds. This is really a camaraderie, and it's a lot of fun. It should be a lot of joking. It should be a lot of laughing. Everybody gets a nickname.
Yep.
And it's fun. And if you watch, get on YouTube and watch the Sizzlin S Outfitter Hunt Winter hunts, you can see it. Once you recognize it, you can see there's a lot of cutting up.
There's never a serious moment until it comes down to go time.
Yep.
And then it's all serious at that point. But then we're that way with all of our hunters.
Yeah.
If they make the wrong move or say the wrong thing right when they get to camp, we will camp on them and give them a nickname, like you said, or torture them the rest of the time. Yeah, exactly.
But this isn't what you do every day. So every day, you rodeoed. You were rodeo coach for a number of years.
Coach for 11 years, Glendive, Dawson Community College. Yep.
And met your wife there?
Nope, met her through a mutual friend. Gal I graduated high school with in North Dakota was her roommate in college in Miles City when they went to college out there, and I was in Wyoming. And then we both got out of college and kind of met her through that. So that connection.
And every day, what you should be doing today is
ranching.
You're a rancher.
Yep. I married well. My wife's family has a big place up there, and we own part of it, have for quite a while. We moved up there in 2012. No, 2012 we moved up there, yeah. Yep. And we basically run the cows on the deal. So.
What's interesting about you is there's a ton of funny stories, and I've heard a pile of them. I can only imagine that 5-year window of being on the road was it's like the PRCA frat house, right? I can't imagine.
Yep.
But what's interesting, and one of the reasons I want to sit down and talk to you about is the connection that you have with the outfitters and the landowners, because Montana is a hotbed for private land hunting versus public land hunting versus the landowners versus the outfitters. This is a 3-legged stool of hunting in Montana that each party has a stake in it. And you guys have done some interesting things and some inroads recently in the last 10 years, let's say, that have made it better for everybody. And there's some things coming down the pipe that's going to help make it better for everybody.
Yep.
So obviously I have a crowd of probably a fair amount of DIY guys that are like, oh my gosh, landowner, outfitter, I just turned this off. However, you said some stuff recently to me that a public land DIY hunter in Montana needs to pay attention to. Various things, not only how the landowner's perception is, how the outfitters fit into this, but also what the Fish and Wildlife Parks is doing to make it better for everyone. What are some of the things you guys are facing right now? Because this is a big topic, and Montana is being looked at a way to get all the stakeholders together, which you guys have done, and figure out a good way to handle the problems. What's some of the stuff you guys are dealing with?
So I'm going to back up X amount of years and just briefly, but back in the 90s, they developed the block management program, which is access for the DIY hunter via landowners. And the way that went down, that was before I was involved. They did this. So they basically the non-resident guided hunter is paying for a lot of the access. A lot, if not most. Which
the
is
block
fine
management
for the
access.
block management program. And then in 2010, through a ballot initiative, they took our guaranteed outfitter tags away. So at that point, they needed to come up with a revenue stream to replace that elevated price of that tag. And that's when our tags, just the over-the-counter, the regular non-resident tags went up 43% across the board. Turned a lot of people away from Montana for X amount of years, and then inflation caught up, whatever. It wasn't so bad.
They were just the first ones to do it. Wyoming's followed. Every other state's followed suit. They were the first ones to take the dive.
And it worked. It worked well.
Yeah.
Very well. So anyway, we got through that. And then in the last 2 sessions, legislative sessions ago, we came up with the outfitter preference point, which is $100. So anybody that's booked with an outfitter, contracted with an outfitter, they can buy an extra preference point for $100. That money goes to fund 4 different access programs. So that's only been in place for 3 years, and we've already brought in $2.2 million to go to 4 access programs. That's through MOGA. Now, the other thing moving forward we're wanting to do, and this is not a MOGA product, even though 2 of us are MOGA directors, is changing our season structure so we're not hunting mule deer in the rut.
Okay, so before we dive into that, because that's a pretty big topic, let's go back to the block management. I want to describe to the audience that's not hunting Montana every year or is not a Montana resident. What is block management? How does it work? These are landowners that are agreeing to allow everybody access. I mean, is it turning it into public?
Yeah, it does. So let's say they can be large tracts, they can be small tracts of private property, and there's sign-in boxes, and people just go write their name down, put a slip in the box, and then go hunt. That landowner is then compensated per hunter per day, and it goes right to the landowner. Obviously, to the FWP. The FWP pays the landowner. Yes.
And that money is being drawn out of the non-resident.
Now just the non-resident tag fees, yes.
Which is a huge benefit to the residents because they're getting the benefit of hunting block management, but their tag fees aren't being paid for it.
Correct. So that's why our resident tag prices are so dirt cheap. And we hear, all the time we hear talk out of Montana, we need to start turning some, we shouldn't have all these non-resident hunters. Well, non-resident license sales are 76% of the FWP's budget.
Wow.
That's huge.
76%.
76% of the FWP's budget is non-resident tag sales.
So when you say budget, because in Wyoming, and obviously I'm from Wyoming, so this is what I talk about a lot, but Wyoming, our budget is 100%. We don't get the Game and Fish does not get general funds from our tax base.
Right.
All of theirs is funded 100% from tag sales, and everything else the Game and Fish is selling.
Correct.
Is that the same way in Montana?
I believe so, but I know that 76% is from non-residents. We're not counting residents.
Holy cow! So even if you were getting money from the general fund, it's the majority of it's non-residents who don't have a say. So the residents are getting a huge benefit from these non-residents who are coming
to either hunt with outfitters or on their own.
Yeah,
because it's obviously tag sales. Land. Yes,
that's really interesting.
Yep.
Hey, non-resident or hey, resident Montana hunters. Thank a non-resident for your resource management.
Yeah, exactly. And that's part of the reason that when they bring up, cutting down the non-resident opportunity. Well, if they do that, now their tags are going to have to go up.
Yeah.
And they don't like that. And I get it. I agree. I mean, I don't agree, but I get it.
It's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And nobody wants to pay $1,500 for an elk tag in the state that they pay taxes in.
Exactly. So
block management benefits the residents and non-residents,
yep.
but paid for by the non-residents. Now you guys have identified because of what do you think changed? Well, you've identified some problems with the deer seasons, and which then spills over on the elk seasons, which spills over in just the management of wildlife in Montana. What do you think is what was the change agent? What was the thing? Who was there? One person, one event that said, "Look, we got to look at this. This is unacceptable management behavior."
It's been common we've been trying for quite a few years now. Group of us, quite a few of us. They're saying, "Hey, our mule deer numbers are dipping. Why are we crucifying them during the rut? It is nothing short of criminal what we're doing." Montana has phenomenal genetics. Montana has phenomenal habitat. A lot of private, also a lot of public, but we can grow big deer up. But with our current season structure, they just keep taking a beating because we're hunting them during the rut.
And not just hunting them during the rut, you're hunting them during a rut on an over-the-counter tag for residents and a general tag for non-residents.
Correct. We've got 5 or 6 special permit areas, but they're out west. Well, there's one out east, but it shouldn't be one, but it is. But yeah, we're beating them up. So a lot of us outfitters are like, "Hey, we have to change something." And it's fallen on deaf ears, had been falling on deaf ears, but now another outfitter friend of mine owns Milk River Outfitters. Him and I got asked to be on a council to discuss this and bring up some changes. And once we got in that room and sat down with those guys at a table, it was amazing to me and Eric how much we're all on the same page. We're trying to protect a resource, and we're going to have to make some major changes to protect that resource, but it needs done.
So when you say council, is this like the Game and Fish Council? Is this the commissioners?
Nothing to do with the Game and Fish, had nothing to do with the commission, had nothing to do with MOGA.
Which is Montana.
So MOGA is Montana Affairs and Guides Association. Yeah. I'm the Region 7 director. Eric is the region. Well, now he's the vice president. But we've both been on it for a long time. And anyway, they asked us to sit in on this and be part of it. And we sat down with some people that we had been arguing with for 10, 15 years because we're outfitters, and a lot of people in Montana don't like outfitters. But it was amazing how we were all on the same page. And it's because of one resource. And even though Eric and I make a living hunting that resource, we are still the biggest proponents to get it done.
Yeah.
Because we know it needs done.
So when you say they, who I mean, these are all types of stakeholders. These are landowners.
No, most of them are just resident sportsmen.
Really?
There was they asked one other guy, and he is sharp dude. And his dad used to be an outfitter years ago, and this guy doesn't outfit anymore, but allows a little access, really smart guy, and has seen the peaks and the valleys of mule deer. He's a big antler collector. They own a bunch of ground down there. They ranch, whatever. And he was on there, and the rest are just DIY resident sportsmen, but good people. And they know the play. I mean, they know that we're gonna be in a jam if we don't change something soon.
That's awesome that a group of DIY hunters said, "Listen, we got to change something, and we can't do it ourselves. We got to get all the stakeholders, the landowners, the outfitters, the DIY guys, and we got to come up with a plan." So are you guys coming up with this plan and presenting it to FWP? Are they involved at all in this?
They're not yet.
Council?
We have run it by them. The guy that got this whole council put together is a lobbyist-ish, and he has run it by them, and they're kind of on board. I mean, they realize there needs to be change, but they just don't really know where that change is going to come from,
right? And
what was going to be socially accepted. And that's, in Montana, that's what they base a lot of it on, social acceptance.
Well, one of the interesting things that we've found in Wyoming, and I'm sure there's the same thing what you guys are facing, is that if you get the right people in the group, the DIY hunters, they're like, yeah, I'm represented there. The landowners, yeah, I'm represented there. The outfitters, yeah, I'm represented there. The Game of Fish, yeah, I'm represented there. And if they come up with a plan, this may be the best benefit that benefits everybody, as long as it's done, I don't want to say, as long as it's done well and moderated well, which sounds like you guys have some really good moderators.
A lot of ideas, and it's not set in stone, obviously, just a lot of different ideas. It's going to be tweaked. And the other part we're missing in that is the economic benefit into these small communities in Montana. I'll use the town I live in, is Jordan, Montana, and
smallest
360 people.
Yeah, smallest county in Montana.
Biggest county, smallest population.
Right.
360 people in Jordan. Obviously the county seat, but hunting season's huge for the bars, the restaurants, the grocery store, the gas stations, the motel, all that stuff. That is their biggest from September 1 to Sunday after Thanksgiving. That's where they make their money. And you start, and that's just one example of a community, but you start messing with that, and then pretty soon you're out of, people are out of jobs. Businesses closed down. University of Montana did a study for Mulga. Would have been prior to the session we got our outfitter preference point. And for every non-resident dollar that comes to the state of Montana in tourism, changes hands 7 times.
7 times?
7 times. University study, 7 times.
So what's that? Do they have a dollar amount? What's that dollar
That was
amount?
per dollar.
I know, but what's the, if they said
550 million.
Wow. Jeez. And that's not counting that's not counting tags. That's counting.
That was non-resident tourism money.
Yeah, that's not counting the cost of the tag or the bullets or any of that. That's gas, fuel, lodging, snacks.
Outfitting is number 3, only behind food, fuel, lodging is number 4. Excuse me, food, fuel, lodging, outfitting. That's huge.
Wow, that's a big number. That's a big number that the residents are being able to benefit from.
Absolutely.
That is bringing in because of this resource. So now back to the resource. So you guys have identified that the resource is a problem. And you've identified that the problem with the resource, aka deer, and is it typically mule deer? It's just mule deer. So the problem with the mule deer is you're hunting them in the rut with a general tag
for 6 weeks or 5 weeks. Excuse me,
5 weeks.
5 weeks.
You're beating them when they're the most vulnerable. You're beating them for 5 weeks, and you're doing it right before winter starts. Because for those that don't know, mule deer rut from about the 15th of November until sometime in December, usually 15th or 20th of December, and then winter hits. And they don't have the fat reserves, and that's the problem. Can you imagine what would happen to the deer population if you didn't beat on them for 5 weeks before the winter?
It'd be awesome. If we just let them do their thing. Whitetail can take it, mule deer can't, as you well know. Whitetail have other demons, blue tongue, different things like that. But we can't control that. This is one thing we can control, is to not torture them or not disturb them when they're rutting. After they're rutting, or after they're done rutting, let them heal up, let them live. That's our main deal.
So are you far enough down the process that you've come up with a recommendation to FWP for what?
It's not finalized yet. Obviously, like I said, taking some, we're going to tweak it a lot. But the other thing, like we spoke about earlier, is to get it to where our elk and deer are not overlapping, because our mule deer are taking it on the chin, because you get a guy that comes out to eastern Montana, draws that tag, whether it be north of the interstate, south, wherever, and they bring a couple buddies with and to help them kill a bull. Well, let's say there's one guy that's got the bull tag and 3 that come with him. There's 4 deer tags in that vehicle, and a lot of them don't like to go home empty-handed. So these young deer are taken on the chin. And if we could separate that to where there is no mule deer hunting while they're hunting elk, it's going to save a lot of them.
So that's an interesting point, coming from an outfitter who probably takes advantage of, Joe Finicknick from old Buckethead from Ohio coming out with a deer tag and also has an elk tag, because Montana's unique. You can buy, for those that don't know, you can buy a combo tag, which you
big
get
game combination license.
Yeah, you get a general deer, general elk, and he can come out and hunt both at the same amount or the same exact
same
time.
Week you're there, or same 2 weeks, whatever. Yeah. Yep.
This is interesting because you're an outfitter. I'm sure you take advantage of that.
Yeah, I hate to. Yeah. But I'm in a permit area, so for elk, so that's kind of difficult. But it's happened. Yeah, it's a great advantage. But
to what cost?
Exactly, and we've seen what that cost is, and that's a lower amount of mule deer. And I don't want to say our mule deer numbers are in the tank by any means, and scare people off of coming to Montana, but they've dang sure dipped.
They've dipped. And here's the other thing. You and I were talking over lunch today is they've dipped, and it could be the perfect storm and have a situation like Wyoming where you have one bad winter.
Oh boy, we're one bad winter away.
Yeah, you're one bad winter. As my brother says all the time, you have one foot on a banana peel and the other on a bad winter. And that's it. And you're done. So if you can affect that change now and adjust those dates to where not only is your success rate a little bit lower, maybe your potential is higher, but also getting those deer to get back to management level.
I think if we could, if not, I would like to say when, not if, but we'll see what happens. But if we can get this done, we're going to see our age class improve. We're going to see our numbers improve. I think we'll see our recruitment improve on the fawn recruitment. I think we'll see a lot of huge improvements, and to where our numbers are back to where they were. Well, hell, when you guys first started hunting with me,
20 years ago,
2001, when, I mean, you couldn't throw a rock without hitting a deer. I mean, It was unbelievable, and it wasn't just where I'm at; it was everywhere. And then all of a sudden, that deal started to dip, and we've had drought, we've had different things like that. I'm not a CWD fan, so I'm not even going to blame that. I think it's a farce, but I know it exists, but I don't think that's has a hand in what's going on. Predators, huge. But FWP in Montana doesn't really want to deal with predators that much.
Oh, I know. We live right on the border of Montana, and our federal trappers and stuff, I'm good friends with them. I mean, I'm 10 miles from the Montana border, and they hammer the coyotes on the border because next week they come from Montana and fill the gap. Nature doesn't like a void, right?
Compensatory reproduction, and which is fine. I get that, but that doesn't mean you just sit back and not do anything.
Right.
You have to hammer away at them, and try to keep them at bay.
I have a friend that did some private. Actually, the guy we were just talking about that's taken Luke on his sheep hunt. One of his things that he's really passionate about deer, and he did a study, private study, and then they funded killing coyotes, and I'm aerial gunning coyotes from like the 1st of May or 15th of May, I can't remember the exact dates, till the 30th of June, right when those fawns are hitting the dirt. In that first 30 days of that fawn's life, they struggle with, coyotes. Oh, yeah. They'll kill 30 or 40 of them in that one coyote, 30 or 40.
Absolutely.
They did it for 2 years, and before they did it, they had a 25% fawn recruitment. After year 3, it was 78%.
Yep.
Because they just gave them that head start, and their deer numbers started going up. Of course, in Wyoming, the state doesn't like aerial gunning predators for whatever reason, political, I don't know. But they proved that is a problem. And if you can cut those coyotes back and give those deer a breath to grow past that 35, 45 days, that your herd will grow.
Biology shows that if you do that, you'll get a 2-year benefit from it, and then you have to do it again. So your benefit's 2 years. Yep. So looking at a 2-year window there. But if we can get any of these agencies, whether it be Montana, Wyoming, whatever, to hammer away at these coyotes.
Yeah.
But with that being said, stock growers need to step up. The wool growers need to step up. Outfitting organizations need to step up.
Yep.
We all do.
Help it out.
Absolutely. And help fund that.
Yep. So one of the things that I was shocked about that you talked about is the number of tag sales, general tag sales since, was it 1975?
So our big game combination licenses have been set in stone since 1975 at 17,000. And there's some bad numbers going around out there that aren't true, that there's 82,000 tag licenses that go to non-residents in Montana. What they're not taking into consideration is anytime you buy a license or a tag in Montana, you buy a base hunting license.
Right.
So they're basing it off of, and when I say the groups, the haters, they're basing it on base hunting licenses, which is a false number.
That doesn't mean they hunted.
They might come out and shoot prairie dogs.
Yeah.
They might come out and shoot sharp-tailed grouse.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Or they might have just bought it so they could apply.
Exactly that too. But these groups are adding them up saying, yeah, you got 82,000 non-residents, which is a false number. I know them well. But we're still at 17,500 on the big game combination licenses. Our straight up deer tags went up to 4,600 a couple of years, X amount of years ago. So in all reality, and that's just, deer. So we're at 24,000, something like that. It's not near as much, but here's where our overcrowding comes from, is our cow tags and our doe tags. So last year through the commission, we got it approved to where in regions 6 and 7, mule deer doe hunting you can only shoot a mule deer doe on private. We're trying to save that resource at that point, so they're not getting hammered on the public.
Right.
And I hope people that listen to this, if they have a mule deer doe tag, they know that, because I know it's going to happen. People are going to go blow a mule deer doe over on some BLM and say, well, shit, I didn't know. I hope that doesn't happen to them.
Yeah. Be careful with that.
Yes, they need to make sure they're paying attention to that.
Because they're using the landowners as a
firewall.
Yeah, as a firewall so that they can manage. Because, and I've talked to biologists. My brother says this all the time. Biologists here on staff say this all the time. How you control a population size is the females. How you control a population's health is the males.
Yep.
And so they're using the landowners as that buffer zone to control that size if they need to.
Let them decide.
Yeah.
So you
plus it helps. I mean, the landowners, as we know, sometimes they get hammered with 250,000 deer in their hay yard in February and ruin $100,000 worth of hay
easily. And then somebody comes up and knocks on their door and says, hey, is there any chance I can shoot a mule deer doe? I know a lot of landowners say, yes, you can.
Yeah.
And some are going to say, no, we don't have the numbers.
Right.
And they're not trying to be malicious. They're not going to try to be rude. They're just like, if you don't have and the one thing people need to know about landowners in Montana as a whole, they're very conscientious about the game management. Like my father-in-law is 82 years old, whatever, not a hunter, but he tells us to leave different water tanks on in the summertime where we don't have cattle, so the deer have somewhere to drink, or the antelope have somewhere to drink. Yeah. They're very conscientious about it. They appreciate they appreciate the animals.
Yeah. So that's why, they're stewards of the property. I have
absolutely
a lot of good friends that are ranchers and stewards of the property. And if you do small things like that, it doesn't cost them that much money and leave that tank on and leave it on, maintain it. And that wildlife is also, you can see that wildlife and go, okay, we have a problem with this pasture or that pasture because that wildlife's not sustaining, which means something's wrong.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And that goes right to your pocketbook.
Yeah. Most of them are very good about it.
Yep.
Like 95% of them.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Hornady. They make some of the best, most accurate, dependable ammo on the planet. No matter if you're coyote hunting or plink and steel or hunting big game out west or even going to Africa, they make a bullet or an ammo just for you. Some of the most accurate and dependable ammo on the planet. Also, check out my podcast with Steve Hornady and learn about ammo as well as their story and some funny anecdotes from Steve. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Cryptic, cryptic.com. Check them out. Now, Cryptic is a cool company. Not only are they God-fearing patriots and they're veteran-owned, but also they make unbelievable gear. No matter if you're hunting in the deserts of Sonora all the way up to sheep hunting in the Great North, they have a layer or layers for you. Plus they have a bunch of cool patterns. Everything from Obscura all the way to Highlander, everything that you would need no matter where you hunt typically or that next great adventure. So check them out, cryptic.com.
So Moga, one of the things you guys are struggling, obviously deer population, deer seasons. So what are some of the other things we kind of touched on this, the perception that outfitters and guides have in Montana. If you could tell Joe Finicknick, DIY hunter, something about that, what is it?
We're not the devil, for one. The big misconception is, we'll talk to guys that are, we'll see them on the road. We'll catch them trespassing, whatever. Like, hey, you can't be here. Well, we own this wildlife. We should be able to get there, whatever. It's not that we don't like them. It's the fact that the landowners own the land. They pay the taxes on it. And it comes down to a liability issue. And somebody trespasses, gets hurt, whatever, they can go back and it could be bad for the landowner. Right. And it's private property rights.
Yeah.
It'd be like me coming into that person's house and sitting down on his couch and eating his chips.
Yeah.
It don't work.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than coming home and my neighbor's sitting on my back porch drinking my beer. It's happened before.
And that's what I mean. Yeah, it doesn't. We're not the devil by any means. And if it wasn't for landowners and outfitters in Montana, our game quality would be worse than it is.
Yeah,
and it's not like it's great. It's bad now. It's great now, but it would be bad.
Yeah.
And going again back to the landowners, they manage the game. Outfitters manage the game because we have to. That's part of our job. Like if I go lease a new piece of ground, I ask the landowner, right, how many do you think we can take out of here and not hurt it? That's my first question.
Right.
And because we don't want to overhunt it. And those deer, just because there's a 3-wire barbed wire or a 3-wire fence, they're not high fence. They can go wherever they want.
Mm-hmm.
So the better we can make that quality that I have control of that piece of ground, I can over years grow that quality up, that age class up. They're not going to stay there all the time. Actually, they'll leave because those mature deer will leave because they're not breeding their aunt or their uncle or their aunt or their sister.
Right.
So they're going to go off somewhere else, which is going to benefit some public ground or some block management ground.
I have a friend that is really in tuned in wildlife management and has done 28 years worth of research on managing herds for size, for health, and for trophy quality. He's done the research on trophy quality, and he was telling me that he said, I don't care what herd of animals it is, if it's deer, elk, zebra, all the way to Cape buffalo. He said, I don't care what it is because I've done the research and I've implemented these tools in these different places. He said 5% of your male population is a trophy. 5% is all. Out of that 5%, you can only take 2% of them. If you take 2%, not 2% of the 5%, but the 2%
of the entire population.
Yeah, so you leave that 3% of trophy quality, you will maintain that trophy quality.
Absolutely.
If you take more than 2%, you'll lessen the trophy quality. If you take less, you'll actually lessen the trophy quality because the males will start fighting and they'll start hurting each other, number one. Number two, it's a wasted resource because you have old males dying of old age. And you can see that in states like Utah.
Absolutely.
And where there's 350, 370 bulls dying because they're trying to kill 400-inch elk. You can see it in Montana on the reverse side where you guys are taking probably 4 or 5% of your trophy quality bull or elk or deer. We're talking deer, maybe more than that. You're not keeping that trophy quality there. And so in order to maintain or grow it, it's that 2%.
It's no different. I've come to the conclusion that managing game on the property that I am allowed to manage it on is no different than managing our cow herds.
Yeah.
We buy high-priced bulls with phenomenal genetics for a reason. We're going to try and leave those young deer with phenomenal genetics to breed. Yeah. It's no damn different.
Yep.
Buying a nice stud horse or buying a gelding out of of a nice mare and a nice stud, you're buying genetics.
Yep.
Well, we can't buy genetics with the deer and the elk, but we can manage the genetics. That's why we're very in tune our age class, but when we were hunting, but also we're in tune to getting some of the inferior genetics out.
Yeah. Management.
Which might be a great big 3-pointer, a great big 3x4. And people are like, well, he's missing this point. Yeah, but he's 6.5 years old and he's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, and trophies is different in everybody's eyes. To me, a big mature representation of an animal is a trophy.
Well, and it could different. There's 3 things I want to talk about because that's a very important, and I want to dive into that. Number one, trophies change. That 3-point that you're just talking about, 6.5 years, if the feed quality, if the winter, if the all the other variables were different, he might have been a 4-point. He might have been, or he may have been just a freak and never grown that 4th point. And is that really what we're managing for? Are we managing for 4 points? Are we managing for mature deer? That's the key.
Are we managing for Boone and Crockett inches, or are we managing for maturity?
Right.
And quality?
Yep.
Are we managing for inches, or are we managing for a quality of the experience?
Yes.
I think we've lost that.
I agree.
I think it's coming back in some circles.
Yep. I think the pendulum's coming both directions.
It is.
And honestly, I'm sitting here as a son of a family that trophies hunting has been what we've done for generations, and what we've built this business off, and what we help guys do is take that trophy of a lifetime. But that trophy, that statement didn't say to help guys take 370 bulls and 200-inch deer. It's a trophy of a lifetime. And that might be a 3-point, 3x4, 6.5-inch or 6.5-year-old mule deer in, Montana. That could be the trophy. And there's a lot of guys that would be tickled pink with it. I would be tickled pink with it because it is a mature, you are matching. This is where I get upset. Some of the people in our industry, I'm matching wits with a 6.5-year, 7-year-old, 10-year-old buck deer that is in his living room. And I'm matching wits, skill set, and ability with him. And if I'm successful, that means I am a better hunter because of it.
And if he whips my ass at the end of the day, that's all good to him.
Yep.
Good on him.
By God, I'll sit at night and dream about it like I have with 3 others,
Absolutely.
the year before.
Yeah. I think that's what people are kind of starting to miss, is that part of it.
Yeah. Because it's really about meat procurement. Let's not get crazy. It's more than that, because you can go shoot a doe, right, in a open area, not in 6 and 7 off private land, but you can shoot a deer. It's not just about meat, because we are a very competitive people. People are very competitive, and you take it and go, okay, I can get meat every year. Now I want to take it one more step, and then it's about managing the health of the herd. Let me get that old bull or old buck that's not really rutting. He thinks he's rutting, but he's not. He's not actually contributing to the health of the herd.
Nope.
And take him out.
It's like I said earlier, in my outfitting deal, we laugh, we joke, we give people a hard time until it's go time.
Yeah.
And when it gets to be mono, I mean, gloves are off.
Yeah.
If I get beat, I get beat. But if I don't, I win. Yep. Hats off to that animal, whatever it was. But it's kind of fun to go battle with them. And just, if you get, I've gotten whipped millions of times. But that's why I keep going back, and keep doing it.
It's a competitiveness.
And I think a lot of people miss that.
Or, I guess you bulldog, didn't you?
Yeah, steer hustled, Yep, got whipped a lot of times on that, but I kept going back for more. That's all part of it.
So one of the things that I do a lot of soul searching for people, because this is a very unique conversation, because we're talking about management, we're talking about outfitters, we're talking about a hot topic in Montana. Has been a hotbed. The DIY hunter versus the non-resident hunter versus the outfitter versus the landowner. That's been. A lot of people don't know that corner crossing, the actual corner crossing problem started in Montana, because you guys didn't have a law against it.
Yep, true.
And so it's been a hotbed and something that the Game and Fish and everybody else just kind of turn a blind eye to because they don't want to deal with it. They send it down here to our state, put it in the court system. But it's been a hot topic. All those stakeholders have been at wits' end or beating on each other for decades. And now you're finally coming together, sitting in a room, realizing, hey, we're all really about managing this resource. And what's good for the resource is good for every one of these stakeholders. So this has been a little different conversation. Sizzlin S Outfitters has been taking our hunt winners for a number of years. Going to continue doing that. In fact, we're hoping to ramp that up. We've been a huge supporter of MOGA for a long time.
Yep.
Montana Outfitters and Guides Association.
Great supporter.
I think they do a great thing. I love it when organizations or groups of people self-govern, when you don't have, the state telling you what to do. It's a group of you outfitters and guides managing, other outfitters and guides. How does that work? How many outfitters and guides are in Montana, and how many are on the board? How does that whole structure work?
So we've got 7 hunt districts or hunt regions in Montana. So we've got, a director from each hunt unit or hunt region, and then we've got president, vice president, and president-elect. So that's what the board consists of. And we have, 4 or 5 board meetings a year. And we're not the one that governs what goes on. We're the ones that we have a very, very good lobbyist, phenomenal lobbyist, does a great job for us. And we basically bring up what we need, what we would like, and he either tells us he'll carry it or if he won't, but he'll usually carry most of it.
But you can't be an outfitter or guide without going through you guys.
Oh, right? Yeah. That's the one problem we have is they can be.
Really?
And the one thing that the outfitters in Montana need to realize is we're the only voice they have. You'd be amazed at how many people aren't MOGA members.
Really?
And we have a program called Hunter Angler Defense Fund, which I don't have it on my contracts anymore. I just take it out of the my income. So it's $50 a client, and it goes into what they call it. I write a check for it. It goes into the Hunter Angler Defense Fund, and what that is that money goes to pay our lobbyists, or we're building a war chest for when something comes up in legislation, like it did in 2010 when they took our guaranteed tags away, which they did us a favor when they did it. It was great. We didn't think it was at the time, but it turned out to be. So yeah, we've got that. But not every outfitter is a member, and they don't see the benefit. So we get the outfitter preference point 2 sessions ago, and the non-MOGA members are benefiting from it.
But it was
we carried the water on it.
Yeah.
We spent the time at the Capitol. We got it pushed through, which is fine. That's what we do. We carried the weight.
So you guys carried the weight for that. How many non-members are there? Do you know?
A lot.
How many members are there?
God, I think 400 no, that's not true. There's 460 big game outfitters in Montana, and we've got just shy of 50% of them. Shy of 50%.
And you have not just big game, but
we have fishing outfitters. We got upland, waterfowl, upland, all that.
So you're the voice. You're the Elk Foundation, the Mule Deer Foundation for those groups, but you're the voice for
Montana Outfitters.
Yeah.
Yep. There is another organization called FOAM, which is Fishing Outfitters of Montana Association, real similar to MOGA, only it's fishing. They do a good job, but MOGA does a great job. We have a great lobbyist, again, like I said, and we put different things on, and it's good. We're connected to the Big Hearts on the Big Sky.
That's why I was just going to go down that road. So Big Hearts, the Big Sky, which you're really involved in that, and we've been involved in it for a number of years. What is that? So
basically what that is, during our winter convention, during MOGA's winter convention in Helena in January, that Saturday night, we have a Big Hearts banquet. And we have big, auctions, silent auction, all that stuff. A lot of donated hunts, a lot of things. And we auction that off. And those proceeds go to take terminally ill children or wounded vets on whether it be hunting trips, fishing trips, horseback, pack trips, whatever we can get, which we can always get everything gathered up that we need. The outfitters in Montana are very gracious that way, donate a lot of things. So it's really if you want a pretty cool evening, that's pretty cool.
And you guys bring in a pile of money.
Yeah, like last year, I think we raised in one night, I know it sounds small, but 170,000.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
When you think about it, your typical Mule Deer Foundation or let's use Elk Foundation. Elk Foundation banquet, they're 30,000.
Yeah.
You guys are 4 times that.
Yep. And it goes, right to the right cause. And yeah. I've never taken a big hearts trip, but I've donated. Obviously, every year I donate something to it. Antelope hunts, whatever the case is. Tomahawk Charitable Solutions out of Tennessee, out of Nashville, come on board with us. They're huge. They do the same thing in Nashville. And that's kind of the Navy SEAL deal. But they've come on as been big supporters for us, and we're big supporters of them. Yeah. Kind of a good team. So,
they'll raise millions of dollars.
I went down there in Nashville in November. I think they raised $2.1 million one night.
Jeez,
it was pretty cool.
That's a lot
to
of money.
See.
That's a lot of money to put it back to guys that need it.
Served our country.
Yeah,
and it's that money goes to maybe a family that lost a father, a son, or whatever the case is, or if they're got wounded, to improve their lives.
Yeah,
it's phenomenal what communities like that can do. So, or groups like that can do.
Right.
It's a neat deal.
So the other thing that I want to talk about, because this one kills me, is the Jordan, Montana,
365 people.
There's 365 people. They come to you one day and said, "Hey, why don't you get on our Chamber of Commerce?"
Yeah.
Well, I guess you probably. Is your business based out of Jordan? So is that how?
Well, that's where I live now. So that's
So that's how it makes it legal for you to get on the chamber board. It's not like you own the bar.
No, not yet.
One drink at a time. Now.
Yeah, exactly. So they asked me to be on the chamber, so I was, and I got on there. And they've had a match bronc ride for 50. At that time, it was like 49 years. And it was an invitational. It was a amateur deal. And the first year I was on the chamber, I'm watching this. I'm like, this is silly. I said, we need to take this to the next level. So we made it a PRCA event. And it took me a little talking, but we got it done. And now, I think that first year we added 10,000. Now we had 20. Well, this year we added 25. Next year we're adding 30,000. So and we get the top 32 in the world.
You're almost $100,000.
Yeah.
And you get the top 32
in the world in the PRCA
riders.
Standings. Yes.
Saddle bronc riders.
Saddle bronc riders in the PRCA standings.
And you're standing around Jordan, Montana, 365 people with the best bronc riding rodeo.
Better than you can watch at the NFR.
Yeah.
Because there's more of them.
Yeah.
And every one of them, not everyone, but
it's the top.
Good share of them that are at Jordan go to the NFR. Because of Jordan, some of them. And then we always had a hospitality room. So when I was rodeoing, hospitality rooms are big. So you can go eat there for free, drink there for free, whatever, which means a lot to a contestant.
Yeah.
So the first year we had that, we got partway through and I'm like, God, I dropped the ball. I forgot about, because nobody else on that committee, it was one of the guy that has pro rodeoed a little. I'm like, God, I'm sorry. I forgot about the hospitality room. So the next year we set a tent up, big tent, like a big circus tent. And then last year we built an actual big structure, and we serve them smoked tri-tip, pork loin, all the beer and whiskey they can drink, food. I mean, it's unbelievable.
The contestants.
Yes. And the committee. That's the only people that can get in there.
Holy
contestants
cow.
Committee. And they can bring their families in, and some of our big sponsors, they come in there. It's cool.
One
It's
of
really
these years
cool.
I'm going to come up there.
You need to.
You just have it on the wrong date because I got young kids and Father's Day seems important.
It's a
to
good
them.
excuse. Good trip.
Yeah.
You can go up there
Drag
and
the-
fish. You can
drag-
fish Fort Peck.
I could just drag
20
the camper up and
20
and
miles
bring
away?
the kids.
Go fish for some big walleye, some big 30-inch walleye, and come watch the Bronc match and
That'd be fun.
eat and drink.
Yeah, hang out with John Edwards from
And
Schnee's.
John Edwards, yeah, he loves Jordan Montana.
That's a shameless plug for John.
God, he loves it, and he's a huge supporter of ours. Yeah, huge supporter of ours. So
Well, Paschke, one of the things that I've always appreciated about you is you're candid. Number one. Number two, we've worked together well on these giving away these hunts, and you're just involved. You're involved in the Chamber of Commerce. You're involved in MOGA. You're involved in Big Hearts. You're involved in all these different things that are important in Montana to Montana residents and important to Montana hunters. And what is so? Here comes the big questions. What is important to Rod Paschke? What if you could do a TED Talk? You know what a TED Talk is?
yeah,
If you could do a TED Talk, what would you do it on?
I would do it on giving back, being involved. I see some of these people that younger people, even older people, they're like, well, it doesn't pertain to me. I can't make a difference. You can't make a difference if you don't get involved. And I used to be that way. I was. Until they talked me into, actually, it's a year that I had to go testify during that 2010 when they were taking during that ballot initiative, because I had witnessed some illegal signature gathering for the petitions. Reported, called MOGA. They're like, hey, document it. I sent my wife in, take pictures because I got run out of the building. So send her in incognito. She takes pictures. We send them in. I have to go testify. At that point, I realized that if I want changes made, I better be that person that helps do it. And if I can give that advice to somebody younger, older, I don't care what it is. If you want changes made, go be part of it, part of the system, part of the program. That and just be a winner. I mean, if you're going to do something, do it right. Do it the right way.
So let me ask you this. You through this whole thing, you kept saying, I got asked to be on MOGA. I got asked to be on the Chamber of Commerce. I got asked to be part of this committee. So I assume they're not just ringing, your phone's not ringing off the hook for invitations for political stuff. You said get involved. How do you get involved? How do you do that? What's the first step?
If you have a passion, like I do with hunting, like I do with and the politics that come along with hunting, I never thought I think I would get there or would have that drive.
Right.
But I saw where it was going and I saw how the wheels turned. Like, all right. And then like with the chamber, with the match, if you want to see something get better, be that person that can help it get better. Does that make sense? Is that kind of what you're asking?
But what do you do? Just stand around at the
I just went and told
dinner?
them.
Oh, you went said, who's the president? I need to get him
I did.
on the phone.
I mean, that's kind of how I'm not going to sit there by the phone and waiting for him to ask. I'm just going to go tell him, hey, you need to do this. And of course, my wife once in a while, she's like, you need to be quiet once in a while.
You need to get thrown out of more buildings.
But if you're willing to go tell them what needs change, you better be willing to step up the plate and make those, be part of that system, that program, that process, if you will.
Don't be just yelling that it needs to change. You better have a plan.
That's a whiner. A whiner complains and has no ideas on how to change it. But if you want to make a change, speak your piece or speak your mind, but have an idea as how to change it. Am I wrong?
That's great. No, that's unbelievable advice. Unbelievable advice.
That's my TED Talk.
I think we just did it. So number 2, why do you hunt? We never really talked, and maybe you want to elaborate on this. I don't know.
Funny you asked that, Ike. I hunt because of my grandpa and yours. My grandpa was a big hunter. Hunted all over, like the NWT, shot sheep, buck everywhere. And So when I was growing up, I'd go rent movies, and like a lot of kids did, Friday nights, whatever, and go to the movie store. And we didn't have a VCR growing up, so we'd rent one. You could rent them for what, $2, whatever, and looked like you were packing to go to the Bahamas for a week when you pack that thing out of there. But,
Friday night.
yep. And I'd go to the outdoor section. I rented Gordon Eastman films, and I might rent the same one 3 weeks in a row. That's what I watched when my friends were in there renting Porky's and whatever, some of those movies like that. I was
Revenge
like,
of the Nerds.
yeah, exactly. I'm over there like renting all these Eastman films, and I went home and I watched them. And that's probably the reason I hunt. And I never got to hunt with my grandpa. He died when I was like 11, but I got to be around him enough. I've still got some of his old guns that stay in a safe. But I think he instilled it in me. And your grandpa helped finish it off. It's kind of cool,
That's
I think.
cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's
know.
exactly why. Yeah, my grandpa had it all over.
Someday I'm hoping to take those old films and do something with them. There's a lot of family dynamics around it with my dad's siblings and stuff, but I'm hoping to just share those because there's a generation that's never seen those adventures.
Oh, wow. I'm sure. I mean, I've heard about a lot of them, but I mean, to see them would be, and the ones I got to see, and there was some that wasn't just your grandpa, your dad was on some of them, and it's kind of funny, and you'll appreciate this, but I watched them for a long time, and I'm like, I always thought, God, it'd be fun to hunt with those guys someday, which I never thought it'd come to reality, and then I dated a gal when I was in college that was from Thermopolis that you went to high school with her. And she goes, yeah, I know those guys. I'm like, no, you don't. She goes, yeah, I know them well. I'm like, really? And I always thought, God, it'd be nice to meet them sometime. And because I always watched the films. And next thing you know, we did it. But it's kind of
awesome.
cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, hunting is always something different for everybody. But one of the things that I see is the red thread that it connects a lot of people it's just the tradition. My grandfather did
It is.
My dad did it.
Yeah.
Or, my uncle shared it with me, or my buddy's dad or my buddy's uncle shared it with me.
Yeah.
And it becomes, which is unique. I don't know if there's maybe probably fishing, but there's not a lot of other things that I've never heard a guy go, well, why do you play golf? Well, I don't know. My dad played golf. Usually it's something different. Usually it's like, I don't know, we played golf as a kid, I guess. I don't know.
And you nailed it earlier when you brought up the term camaraderie. My guides are some of my best friends.
Yeah.
And one of them, the one that's been with me the longest, we rodeoed together. But we've hunted together for I don't know how many years. And it's almost like if you're not hunting with him or he's not hunting with me, it's like cheating on your wife. He killed a big bull with me last year, and I couldn't be there because I was guiding hunters. And he even told me, he's like, God, I felt bad I wasn't there to help him.
Yeah.
And he felt bad I wasn't there.
Yeah. Experience wasn't as good as it could have been.
Because of one simple thing.
Yeah.
And it's the people that you surround yourself with.
Yep.
And that's to me, that's what people are missing, some of it.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Which is actually a statement to take your kids hunting, take the neighbor kid hunting, take your nephew hunting, take somebody. And if nothing else, so that when you start to get older or you have that life experience, that one trophy of a lifetime, you have somebody to share it with.
So one thing, I've got as you do, I do, got a bunch of heads in the house, and some of them, are all good in my eyes. Anybody could ask me a question about any one of them, and I could tell you what the temperature was that day. I could tell you where exactly to the gnat's ass where I was, what time I left. I could tell you everything about it.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like a fine art. People spend money on art. We spend money on hunting and taxidermy because that is our art, because there's so many memories with it.
Yeah, you're right. People ask, why would you mount that? It seems, sadistic or whatever. I said, you don't understand what that is it's a 3D picture. And every time I see that mount, or I have my ibex is mounted, and when I walk into my bedroom, I walk right past it, and almost every time It probably is not true. It's my mind tricking me, but I can smell Mongolia when I walk by it. I can smell it.
Exactly.
My wife and I just got back, and this is going to be a YouTube video or a series of YouTube videos coming out in 25, but we just got back from Africa with my kids, and I got off that airplane, and Africa has its own smell. And I got off that airplane, and I looked to my wife, who was with me on the first time I went to Africa. I said, "Can you smell that?" She goes, "It smells like hunting camp." It's exactly. And it will bring you back to that memory like nothing else. Like nothing else that you can, maybe your child's birth or your wedding, but it's just so impactful. And those trophies, those experiences are what life, in my opinion, is about.
I get aggravated with people being a meat shop and wherever, or during hunting season, or a taxidermist studio, whatever, dropping heads off. And somebody will be in there and like, they'll be looking at a head that's laying on the floor, and they're like, why the hell would somebody mount something like that? And I'll stand, I don't know who that person is that dropped it off, but I'll stick up for them. Yeah. Maybe that's a big memory for them. Maybe that's that kid's first year. Maybe it's a 80-year-old guy's last year.
Right.
Who the hell, who cares?
Yeah.
If they want to mount it, there's memories. Maybe his grandson was with him. Maybe his dying grandpa was with him.
Yeah.
Or who, it doesn't matter.
It's a memory. It's a memory that'll exist the rest of his life.
Yes, because that's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's why, thanks to you guys, I take great photos. I was taught by the best.
Yeah.
And
my brother did a real good job with you.
He did. And my clients get upset with us because oftentimes our photo sessions last longer than hunt did. Yeah. And they're like, God, are we done yet? And I'm like, no, but just bear with me. You'll appreciate this. Yep. And then I'll take some phenomenal photos and I'll send them to them. They're like, God, thank you. Because I'll have them forever.
Yep.
And
at the moment you don't think about what's going to happen 2 years down the road when you go, hey, let me show you this deer I shot in Montana, or let me show you this whatever I shot wherever, this experience, and get that. That's really cool.
That's the only way you can save it.
That's right. That's what we're comprised of memories. That's Absolutely. What we get when we're laying on the deathbed, which is my next question. We're laying on a deathbed. What is Rod Paschke going to be thinking about?
Probably worried that I left a hydrant on. I'm overrunning a tank, but actually, that's a pretty good question. I hope I left a mark at some point, whether it be family wise, whether it be when I was coaching with my students, family, but maybe I made a difference, whether it be mule deer management or I hope I made some aspect better, right? I mean, that's kind of where I'm at on that.
You know, I've been around a couple of your students, JD.
Yep.
Circle.
Yep.
He's he obviously talks in high regards to you, and you made a huge difference in his life. In fact, he claims, and I wouldn't know this, you and him would. He claims you're the only reason he's on the path that he is. He would have probably wound up in a gutter somewhere.
I don't know if he would have been in the gutter, but he's a good kid.
Yeah.
I hope he's speaking the truth.
Yeah, I think he is. He was very genuine. There was a lot of brown liquid going through our glasses when we talked about it. So.
He was a challenge for a minute, but
he did.
The good ones are challenges.
That's right. He did.
And I took him as a challenge. So, and I was hard on them kids that were like that I could see a bit. Well, I was hard on all of them, but just trying to get the best out of them.
Yeah.
So
11 years.
Like our parents did.
Oh, yeah. 100%. You know my dad.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And I hold him in very high regards because of that. But
well, I appreciate you coming all the way down here for a conversation or two.
It was fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It's been a good time. I've learned a lot, and I think hopefully we've opened the eyes to an audience on what some of the problems that are happening in Montana, some of the stakeholder, the other side of the coin, as well as that you guys are working together to get stuff fixed.
I think we're getting there.
I think there's, as long as people, one of the best takeaways, if you guys get nothing out of this and you just started here, rewind to when Rod was talking about the council that he's on to help mule deer. And he said, I sat down and started talking to these other people that I've been fighting with 11 years and realized that we all are fighting for the same thing. It's just coming at it a different direction. And if we can put our heads together, we can succeed.
Lines of communication and open those up. And I think we'll find that we're on the same page more than we're not. That's what I saw that day. And just people have a different way of expressing it.
Yeah.
And they look at us like we're demons, the outfitters, like we're the redheaded stepchild, and we're not. And there's times we look at the DIY guy that they are because they're I hate to use the term desperate, but when you have this, when there's private property that they can't get to and they're looking at elk, they're looking at deer and they can't get to them, they get mad. And I understand that. But maybe if we can change some managers, some season dates and some management practices, they won't have to look at the private to see that. They can look at their accessible public or whatever access programs, and they can see that. That's to me the end goal, right?
Yep.
To where that conflict isn't there.
100%.
We're all good people. We just all want different things. And
and when you put your head together, you really want the same thing, and that's opportunity.
Exactly. Yep. And everybody's opportunity to everybody's quality is different.
Yeah.
Some people want quality experience. Some people want quality mature animals. I mean, it's how do you define that?
Yeah.
So,
well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yep.
Pour another cocktail.
Okay. Sounds good.